muggles alike. Welcome to the magical world of STEAM. Tonight we are diving into Defense Against the Dark Arts with a special look at dark creature studies, bats. I have my best buddy right here, my skeleton bat. But tonight we're going to practice getting our bats to fly. So if you look at my skeleton bat here, we all know that bats have these leathery kind of wings that help them take flight, kind of like a bird. Now, these wings, you can see each individual finger coming off of each side. Now, bats aren't known for long, steady flights, right? Not like a bird. Instead, they kind of hover, and they have to fight really hard to give themselves lift and to stay in the air. Now, bats also use something called echolocation. So they send out a sound wave, it bounces off of objects and comes back to them, painting kind of a picture in their mind because they don't really have great eyesight. So for tonight, we are going to use our little bats. Mine's a little glittery, hoping that it'll be easier to see. You need a straw or some other kind of material that's a tube. You'll need some ribbon, scissors, and tape. Now what we're going to do is we're going to fashion our straw to the back of our bat, and we're going to test different heights of flight using our ribbon. We're going to see if making it a shorter angle helps them to go faster. If making the ribbon a little less taut, so give it a little more slack, will make them go faster or slower. And we're going to see which one works the best. So you're going to take your straw, and you don't need a big piece. I'm going to cut, this is about 2 inches. I'm going to take my tape, and I'm going to tape it to the back of my bat. Just like that. Now the longest part of this is probably going to be cutting out your bat. I already have mine pre-cut. And then make sure that your straw or what other object you're using is firmly fastened to the back, because what you don't want is, as your bat's flying, for the back to pop off and your bat will just float down to the ground. That's not what we're testing today. So I'm going to use a little bit more tape. Make sure that it is fastened to the back of my bat, and be sure not to cover up the 2 ends that are open, because that's what you're going to need to feed the ribbon through to help test your bat's flight. All right, so I have my bat finished. I'm going to feed him through my ribbon. You can also use string or any other kind of material you have around the house. Fishing line works well, ribbon, yarn, even floss thread. So what I'm doing is I'm feeding my ribbon up through the straw and out the other end so that it looks like he is in flight when he's coming down. So I'm going to secure my ribbon, so being careful not to get caught in the line. You're going to take your bat all the way to the very top. Let's see. If I just let him hang there, he's not going to go far. So I need to give him a little bit of a push. If you have something smaller than ribbon, like fishing line, he should be able to just glide down on his own without any help. So I'm going to count down. 3, 2, 1. Well, that kind of worked. Now, what my biggest issue is with my bat right now is my ribbon is a little bit too thick. So as he's gliding along, it's getting caught on edges of the straw and also a little bit of my tape. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to try and straighten out my ribbon. And I'm going to give it a little bit of a sharper angle. So let's see. If I make my ribbon come down to here, make sure it's nice and tight. Make sure it's secure. Let's see if I can get my bat to go a little bit faster. Three, two, one. Oh, not quite. He fell. 3, 2, 1. Still not quite right. So as you're doing this experiment, try different strings. Try different items to secure it to the back. I'm going to try a little bit of fishing wire. It's hard to see a little bit. So it's very thin. Now putting this, feeding it through the straw, it should be fairly easy for my bat to gain some speed and fly. So I'm going to cut a good chunk off. I'm going to secure it to one end. And then I'm going to feed it all the way up high. Make sure I've got a piece of tape to secure it. And I'm going to cut my ribbon and free my bat. Now instead, I'm going to feed my fishing line through the back, right through that straw again. So going up from the bottom all the way to the top. I'm going to pull that through. Just keep pulling, pulling, pulling. Whoop, I did it backwards. Otherwise, he's going to be flying bottom first. So I'm going to go through the top to the bottom. Top to bottom. There we go. So pull that all the way. I'm going to take my piece of tape. I'm going to bring my string all the way up high. I'm going to tape it down. All right. Should be okay to go now. So I'm going to collect my bat. It's falling all the way here. Bring them all the way up. Let's try this one. 3, 2, 1. And he flies. Now let's see if I don't give him an extra push. Will he fall all the way on his own? Yep. A little bit slower, but it still works. So I'm going to collect my bat. I'm going to try one more time. I'm going to see if I can get him to go a little bit slower. 3, 2, 1. And there he flies all on his own.
So let's look at Dark Creature Studies, our bat facts. We're going to go through some different bats and some different myths. Here we have the largest bat, the giant golden crowned flying fox, or the golden capped fruit bat. It's a species of megabat native to the Philippines with a wingspan of more than 5 feet. Next we have our smallest bat, which is a bumblebee bat or Kitty's hog-nosed bat, native to western Thailand and southeast Myanmar, where it occupies limestone caves along rivers. It's also the size of a large bumblebee and weighs no more than 2 grams. Here's some facts. Bats are nocturnal, meaning they are active when it's dark outside. Bats use echolocation by producing different sound waves at frequencies above human hearing called ultrasound. These sound waves bounce off objects in the environment and returns to their ears, forming pictures, which are finely tuned to recognize their own unique calls. Most live in a colony or a large group living, and the place where they live is called a roost. Bats are the only mammals that can fly. Bats eat fruit, nectar from plants, or insects, but there are only 3 species that dine on something a little bit darker. Here we have our vampire bats. Only 3 species are vampire bats. They eat the blood of mammals and birds, and they make a painless cut from which they lick the blood. Now some of our myths. Bats are spooky. Well, sure, because of, culture around everything, especially Halloween, we think of bats as a spooky creature. Along with ghosts and monsters, images of bats are often seen at Halloween. However, bats are far from spooky. Did you know that the vampire bat look after other bats in their colony by feeding them when they are sick? This caring behavior is rare in the natural world. Bats are rodents. Not so much. Some think of bats as flying mice. Bats are not even closely related to rodents, though. They belong to their own group called Cryptera, which means handwing. Bats also drink human blood. Though bats do drink blood and are found in the Americas, they approach animals during the night, when the animal is asleep and still. And unless you sleep outside, it's highly unlikely a vampire bat will come anywhere near you, a human. Mostly they dine off of birds, cows, other kinds of cattle, goats. They're not gonna search out a human to drink their blood.
So that is it for STEAM tonight. I hope you all had fun making your bats and testing out their flight patterns. Try different kinds of materials. Use fishing line, string, ribbon, yarn. See which one can get your bat to go the fastest, the quickest, and see different angles, whether he goes faster, slower, maybe he gets caught on it. But that's all I have for tonight. I hope you all enjoyed Defense Against the Dark Arts. Bye, everyone.